Lights, camera, action.
In a studio where local filmmakers talk to other filmmakers about the inside world of film.
Cut.
That's not the script. It. We'll fix it in post. Do you wonder how films are produced and what really goes on behind the scenes? Well, stand by. Filmmakers Kevin Munfrey, Victoria V.A. Jones, and Carson Hype Ferguson explain all the details. Right here on It, We Will Fix It in Post podcast.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Whenever you're listening, I thank you for doing so. I'm Kevin Mumphrey, and this is Fuck It. We'll Fix It in Post. I am with my colleagues, Victoria V.A. Jones.
What's going on?
And Carson Hype Ferguson.
Yeah.
That's all we get?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
I guess since you're not in studio today, that'll pass.
It's quick, straight to the point. That's fine. So today we're talking to director and actor Kc Eke. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good now.
So, I got started off with what got you in the world of film in the first place?
Oh man, I think I've always had a creative edge my whole life, and it really started back, I would say, in third grade when I would just write all the time. I could fill up a whole 8.5 by 11 in like 3 to 5 minutes. I would just remember something, play with it in my head, and then spit it out like it was nothing. And I believe in the 6th grade was the first time I ever directed something. I embarrassed my whole class and made them like reenact something that I wrote. And like,
what was this that you wrote, by the way?
Oh man, it was based off of a PC game.
Okay.
Like Celtic Warriors. And I took all the names from the actual game, wrote them down into this intricate story that I found the other day, and it's still unfinished. But like, I just wrote it all down and like had them reenact it. It got deep when another class came to watch it. I was like, oh.
So this was like a stage play or a stage reenactment?
It was written like a novel, and it was just like in this little book. I had like chapters all written out and everything, and we
you got real descriptive with it.
Yeah, yes, it was very intricate for a kid in the 6th grade, and I was like, oh, all right. I didn't think it was gonna go that far. But it did. I was so nervous because I was like, oh, well, here we go. We revised all the dialogue in the actual book and put it onto a paper, and it was something else. It was actually very accepted, and I found out years after that. They were so mad at me at the name. It was great, but it was really embarrassing because, first time ever.
When you first said PC game, I started going I started thinking Oregon Trail, and I was like, please no,
not that old.
Oh.
Nah, you really showing your age today.
Hey, I don't care. I ain't showing nothing because I ain't there.
That was the game back in the day, though.
So
yeah.
When you started, so like, did you like some of you watch kind of motivate you, right? Or you just did it?
Yeah, like I watched unusual things as a kid. Like I was so in depth with like history, and I liked like war history. So I was always watching war movies, like The Patriot or Glory. Glory is my all-time favorite movie. Black Hawk Down.
Good movie.
Yeah.
Good choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, good movie.
There's The Alamo, just all these films about just conflicts. And that's what drove me. And like, I would have a celebrity cast in my head about who I would like put in these roles. I watched The Patriots so much I could probably still spit off the dialogue off the dome, and that's what really was like driving me to have this creative process in my head that would just be so detailed. And like looking back, everything was a little plaything to me. Mm-hmm. Small little object became a story. everything. I would spend hours just doing that, and that's kind of what manifested. So a lot of it, yes, did play off of what I watched, and
So you've always been into storytelling.
yeah,
So,
I think so.
Like middle school, high school, would you kind of write plays or?
Well, it wasn't as much as plays. It was more of I've always wanted to write a novel. I wrote everything like a storybook. If I read something that was in the format of a story, I had to imitate that or mimic that. So I would just start writing until someone would stop me, and then I'd realize I would get like 40-something pages written and realize, oh, I've just spent like an hour and a half writing some stuff that I just kind of thought of.
So when you write, like, how does it form in your head? Are they full pictures, or are they full? Can you literally see it in your head before you put it down on paper?
Yes, it's like when you turn on a movie and it fades in from black. It starts going scene by scene, dialogue by dialogue, and I start really painting the image, the colors, the movements, the backstories, everything just starts coming. And there's a style of writing where you would start in the very middle at the climax and build off of that. A lot of people in the expository story arc, they start at the beginning. But sometimes there are some people who start in the very climax. So before I write, sometimes I'll start the climax. How can I build off of that?
Gotcha.
And then I start seeing everything.
That's a good technique though, because I remember hearing the writers for Training Day. I can't remember if it was multiple writers or if it was a single writer. They actually started at the end scene where Denzel Washington got into the I'll just say got into it at the end. I'll just say that. Spoiler alert. However old that movie is.
We way past that point, so we don't really need to say that. If you haven't seen it by now, it's practically on YouTube. So you haven't seen it by now.
Right, it's on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
right, it's on YouTube.
It is scene by scene.
It's getting taken down right now.
Yeah, probably is, but somebody else puts it right back up.
Exactly.
Now, yeah, you must prefer, like, when you were writing, like when you say in high school, you went for the climax at first, or
sometimes I would just really just build off of a simple premise. So even if it wasn't the climax, I would build off a single moment. Because when you start with a seed, it buds, but you can place that seed wherever. So I would just think of just one thing. I would always ask myself, what if this was something like, what if ... And then I would have to answer that. What if this? What if that? And what if was always a jumping off point. So if it was just one scene in the whole sequence, it didn't matter if it started in the rising action or the climax. It would have to grow into something based off of that. So that started to grow to where if I'm by myself, I turn a lot of stuff off, turn my phone off, and I sit in the dark, and I start acting out all of the characters, every single moment, and then until the scenes start going one after the other, personalities start forming. That's all started from a single moment. So that's kind of how I've always done it, even if I'm writing like a novel. It has to, play in my head, and then I just start going.
So when you get
I'm about to use sleep technique. my bad, Kevin.
No, please go ahead.
Yeah.
No, the last time I was by myself, I think I was playing Dipset, and I didn't get nothing done.
Did you reenact that in the dark too?
No, I wasn't in the dark, but I imagined a music video in my head.
And do you rap it to yourself in the dark?
Oh, it was out loud. Yeah, it was to the neighbors too.
Where were you at?
Where was I at? I think it was the garage.
I was trying to say, I hope nobody heard you.
I feel
Oh
like
no,
his
they
neighbors
heard.
heard him.
They had to hear. Like I had to turn that up a little bit. I was like,
I'm
yeah,
almost
it was
certain
that
his
dipset
neighbors
anthem. Yeah,
gave him the side eye. So,
they're cool. They're cool.
so when you have an idea, because like you hear this more with artists that have an idea, they got to write it down as soon as they get it, or it's just kind of gone. Is it the same for you?
Sometimes, I used to draw a lot of inspiration off dreams I had. I would look at a dream from like every single detail. I remember I would just detail it. Sometimes I would just lose it. I don't really do it as much from dreams anymore. I used to, but that kind of changed on me. But in terms of just writing it down immediately, I never really did that. I think I should have. Sometimes I was like, okay, I gotta, write this down. But most of the time, I'm just kind of like, what was that? So I play, even if I lose the whole thought, I would have to. I'd pick just one moment from that dream, just one. I was like, what does that mean? What if? And then that's when it starts. I start setting the points. What here? What about this? What if this? And then it builds. So, writing it down right after is not something I did always, but when I did, it was always just like one moment I remember, and I just go with it in my head. So
you kind of like take seeds from your dreams
Basically.
and then build from there.
Yeah.
Okay. So like when you did you go to college for directing or?
I went to MTSU for video production.
Okay.
So and my minor was theater, so I was trying to act also, but I didn't do any shows. But yeah, I did go to school for film production, and it was my goal to like make stuff to really, because I do have stories to tell. When I was there, I did a few projects while I was there. I think the one I did that has the most traction in my like life right now is called Checkpoint. It's on my YouTube page. So,
to kind of talk about Checkpoint, what was that project?
Well, I mean, this film was not a stance on anything. It was just a singular film idea of this is reality. So it was a kid who had his first interaction with the police.
Okay.
And I started to indirectly tell a backstory of his brother who was killed in an interaction. And basically, it's short. He goes to a party, and on his way back, he's being tailed by a cop. And he's like, okay, there's a cop behind me. And his lights come on. He's like, oh. So he pulls over, and it's a very tense moment. It's like, what's going to happen? And there's a whole shot where it's a Hitchcock zoom of the cop's hand on his gun. And his life literally begins to flash before his eyes. Now, and nothing happens at all. It was just routine. Cop was like, hey, be careful. I saw you swerving. Just, I don't want you to get hurt out here. That's all it was. It was no controversy, because I know a lot of people like to make these kind of stories to spark controversy. I wasn't trying to do that. I was very subtly telling the whole world, like, hey, this is an issue. This is a problem that we have. Let's just get past it. It shouldn't be like this. Let's just, pay attention to what it is, and let's grow off of that so it doesn't happen anymore. Like, this is happening. And that's all I was trying to do. And it did spark, like, conversation, because it went to a festival, a small one in town here, and, you can hear a pin drop at the moment at the gun. People collectively held their breath. Like, oh. Because there was another film that was just like it, with the same tone, but it was much more, like, out there. Much more like, it was a kid getting shot. I was like, whoa. But mine, you can hear a pin drop. Everybody held their breath. Nobody moved a muscle, and I was like, yeah, that's what I wanted. I want everyone to stop and look and like, hey, this is the thing that's going on. And it shouldn't be. We can grow beyond that. We can learn from this. And
that's special. That's special if that's the case.
Yeah, and again, I wasn't trying to twist any arms or say, hey, all police are bad. No, it's not, that wasn't the goal. And the actress who was playing the mother, she was actually in a project that I did for the National Geographic. She was working with a certain police department, and she said that, it's still being shown. She showed her superiors, and they show it, and they show it to new cops. That's what she told me, and I was like, really? She's like, yeah. I was like, wow, okay. So I'm thinking it made an impact. Again, it wasn't any indictment on anybody, but it's just like, this is a reality that needs to stop. That's all. And I'm glad it hit so many people, because I was the way I pitched it. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie A Time to Kill with Samuel Jackson. I pitched the film like Matthew McConaughey's Closing. I had everybody imagine a child coming home from a party, a little tired, swerving a little bit in his car, and he sees a cop, pulls him over, and his life literally begins to flash before his eyes. The fear of everything is going crazy. Now I was like, do you see him? Now I want you to imagine that this kid was white. And I asked the class, like, who saw this kid as black? Everyone's hand shot him. I was like, boom. So after that, I had everybody just wanted to, like, hey, like, let me help you, like, make this. I was like, okay, cool.
So this is a little bit more of a technical question, and you can kind of chime in on this. So how do you, like, in the film that you made, how do you, like, technically, like, create tension?
What helped with that was, I guess, the pieces of the backstory, like his brother's picture was there. Another piece of tension that was there was just extending the moment out, letting the moment play out, letting stuff breathe. Because when you hold your breath, sometimes when you hold your breath for a long time, you don't know if you'll catch it. And it's like, from the time when he's like, from the time from the cop, like, his lights come on to when he is like walking out of the car. Like, there was a shot of him getting out of the car. There's a shot of him holding the steering wheel. There's a shot of him looking back. There's a shot of, a slow motion shot of the cop walking up slowly, coming up to where we don't see his face. We see the bottom half of his face. And then, we just see everything just play out, and like the music in the background plays a factor.
That's a major factor. It's the music.
Yeah.
You can put anything together you want to,
yeah.
but if the music don't add up,
right.
it's pointless.
Yeah, it was so, like, we used very eerie music. It wasn't scary, but it just kind of like that music that suggests what will happen next. That is a major question that you ask yourself if you're trying to build tension. Well, what's going to happen next? It's going to make you sit very still, because in your mind you're thinking, this can go either way. It can go to the furthest of extremes, or nothing at all, and you don't know until you see it. Until you see it happens. I think viewers, when they watch a show or something, always try and predict what's going to happen, but they don't know until they see it, and then that's what they want. So it's like, I played this out and I extended it like a rubber band. It was either going to snap or I was going to let it back in. So, and you want to see what's going to happen. That's what draws you in. So, extending the moment out, making people just sit still.
Now, do you extend it, like I said, just with the script, or do you do it with the editing, or even like within that production itself?
It's more, I think, of everything. Because when you write a script with something like this, you're not going to get much, like, the script won't be very long. Because what happens in the action blocks, and it's just writing out, oh, he sits in the car looking at this, and the cop walks up. That's pretty much what you're going to see. And so I think the majority of it is more on the production day and the editing. I think like the editing plays more of the factor of how to build that tension, but it's also what the director sees in their mind's eye. So what they see, everybody else is going to see. And I would say, yeah, you have to shoot enough coverage to actually play with it, and then the editing is where like the gold happens, I guess. So
out of acting, writing, and directing, which one is your main go-to that you enjoy the most?
Oh man, that's it's difficult to say because I'm trying to be like a Swiss Army knife. I'm trying to do it all. Right now, I have this acting right now is fairly decent for me right now. I'm like right now directing is like smaller scale right now for me because I'm just doing little scenes for other actors, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now. But still, sometimes I think about it. If I'm helping with like a self tape and I'm helping like direct them on how to achieve a goal, it just starts spitting off my ability to like direct somebody. You know, I think right now I'm liking acting more, but like my home run is probably or what comes I guess naturally is directing. I guess I know everybody wants to be a director. You know,
it ain't an easy job.
It's not.
Everybody want to do it, but it's not an easy job.
It's not.
Well, I think that's because the misnomer is that, hey, if you're the leader, you're in charge. Thereby, you're important. And it's like in all actuality, everything's important.
Right.
Because if the sound's off, if the edit's off, if I don't know the picture doesn't have the right color, like it's not gonna work.
And guess who gets the lack when everything does not go right? The director gets it. It don't matter. It don't matter if the sound got messed up. It don't matter if the actors messed up. Whose fault is it? It's the director's fault.
Yep. I mean,
even along those lines, in some Hollywood productions, when the money people tell the director what they're going to do, or else they're not going to get to make the film at all, and you get a finished product where directors be like, "Yo, like this is not what I wanted to do," and that's happened a lot too.
Yeah, but someone told me it's like the actors is a piece of the puzzle, but the director is the person that has to put all the pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
So,
true, yeah.
And it's easier to just to be a piece of a puzzle than to be the one who builds the whole maze.
That's true, yeah. It looks glamorous, and I don't think if glamour is what you're after, you're in the wrong thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
This is not about fame, glamour, or money. If that's what you're after, leave.
And I talked to somebody who was asking me about acting. I said, name me like 5 actors. And he named me 5. There's probably like hundreds of thousands of actors. That's probably the ones you just named that make the money they make. It's probably maybe 5 of them. Maybe at most 10.
Yeah.
No, like, and it's one of those businesses that 1 year you're getting roles, some auditions, doing great.
The next minute,
nothing.
You gotta find a job at Kroger's or something just to get by. Like if you're looking for stability, this is not the industry you want to be in. But do you remember what was the first project you acted in?
The first thing I ever as a human, like.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. We can go with that.
I mean, if we want to go there, back in the day, way back when everyone had camcorders, me and my brothers, because we were huge Star Wars nerds, we would reenact fight scenes. So, and like, we'd shoot them. So, it was back when Episode 4 was like one of the main ones, the main movies that we had. and we would just reenact this scene from Vader versus Kenobi, and it was just like that was the one. It was we turned all the lights off, we had our little light up sabers, and we just started fighting. And I guess that's like home movie type stuff. But I think if you're gonna ask like what was the first thing I did that actually had somewhat of an essential story that wasn't just for fun, was after I graduated college. It was a film festival, and the MTSU Film Guild, because I was associated with them. It was I was with them on a project, and it was called, ridiculous looking back now. It's called One Good Donut. That's what it was called.
One Good Donut.
One Good Donut. It was
You really reluctantly said that too.
no, it's a fun, weird film. It's weird.
Listen, most of those college projects were weird. Most of them had weird names,
Yes.
and that's just how it went.
I was just I was a dude trying to find a wedding ring for his girl, and he couldn't. And basically, to try and propose to his girl, he had a donut. I was kind of like, so yes or no, right?
He had a donut.
It was the strangest thing, and like it was one curveball we had to show like it was. I forgot what our thing that we had to do, but I remember they CG'd me like floating, talking to myself, and I had this light behind me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so handsome!" I was like, "I know." it was the weirdest thing that I've done. Like that was the first one I did when it was right out of school. So, and then the rest is kind of history.
So when you kind of started trying to do it professionally, went into like getting an agent, how'd you go about that process?
So that was right out of school too, because I had a teacher who was telling me, "Hey, if you want to do this more, there's a person named my agent." I was like, "Okay." So I kind of was looking around, but then I was looking around on how to do this. People were saying, "Hey, you should do classes." Cool. So before I actually like hit up my current agent, I researched studios in Nashville, and I came across this one called the Fourth Wall Acting Studio in Nashville, and I've been with them since. It's been 3 years now, and we just do it's a class, and we act out scenes, and we get practical experience. But then when I found them, I got headshots done. Headshots was also very, very important to actually get. And it was cool because before I actually got the actual headshots done with somebody, that's when I got a National Geographic. I did that.
Now, what was this thing with National Geographic that you did?
It was called Story of God. Yeah, I'm sure that most people have heard of it. Morgan Freeman shot the scenes here in Franklin, I believe. I shot that. I want to say the January of the next year of when I was looking for an agent. So that was probably like 2019, I believe. But I had 2 rounds of before I get back to National Geographic, but I had 2 rounds of headshots. Next round of headshots I got, that person knew my agent, and she was able to send those headshots to my agent. And even before then, my agent was like, "Hey, if you're not repped by next year, hit me up." She saw pictures, had a meet and greet, and she accepted me. And that National Geographic was something I got before I was repped. So I was contacted via Instagram by somebody, and they're like, "Hey, you want to do this project?" I was like, "Cool."
Usually, that's the start of a really bad story.
I'm surprised that it didn't go as bad as I thought, because my agent actually knows the studio who does this. So, and it was before. So looking back at it, I should not ever do that again. But
well, it's primary means communication or something. It goes down a DM.
I don't know if I would have used that wording, but
saying.
if we're being technical, I guess you're right, but I just wouldn't have used that wording for this situation.
If you talk to most agents, they cannot stand when people do that. Because when you go over the head of an agent straight to the actor, that makes them so angry that devalues the actor, saying that they're not worth the pay. You want to just pay them the rate and get them out. It's kind of what that is. So anything that's like impituity, whatever it's called.
I think gratuity?
Yeah, I think it's something like that. Those are people who are going over the heads of agents and want to pay just a flat rate when the shoot is probably you're worth more. So it's kind of taking the worth away from an artist, saying that, hey, you're only worth like $500, which sounds like a lot of money, or $800 or $1,000, but really that shoot is probably worth 2 times that. And I don't want to make it about money, but
you don't want to be devalued.
Yeah, I don't want somebody saying, "Hey, you're only worth this." That's kind of that's not a good way to market yourself, or that's not a good way.
Man, that's kind of tacky way to kind of present it too. You be like, there's better ways. I think you'd be like, "Hey, we only have X budget." Because you hear all these starlets that do those indie films because they really like the project, and it's not a lot of money. They were like, "Yeah, I'll do it for whatever your budget is. As long as it's good enough, I guess."
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it's not like that. It's kind of like, "Hey, we're shooting this thing. It pays $800 for this many hours. Send us your headshot and resume. Boom, done." And it's like, okay, that sounds good. Until you get an agent involved, it's kind of like, okay, so my client is worth this much, and let's work something out. And they're kind of like, no, let's, and then that's when the conversation just ends. So if you get an agent involved, the whole conversation is going to change. So it's really people just trying to go over the heads because they don't want the confrontation.
So I'm going to go back to the Discovery Channel gig. So what exactly did you do for it?
So I was playing a Kenyan businessman named Charles Mooley. And Charles was, he started an orphanage for kids. He had a run-in with some kids while he was going to work one day. And they're asking for money. And he was like, I don't have money. So he just kind of walked off. Those kids got really upset. Got like a rock or a bar and knocked out his window because he was kind of a high roller, I guess. And he came back. He was distraught that happened. So he was driving on the road and he pulled over and he was just so hurt by those kids. He couldn't get those kids out of his head, and he started to cry. He started to get really upset, and he started to pray. He was praying to God, like, what can I do? He knew he had to do something because he had the actual, I think he was in a better spot to actually do something. So at night he was at his bedside while his wife was asleep, and he was praying again. And from his account, this is what he said. He said, I looked up and I saw this light appear through my window. He saw a light. So if you watch the footage, there's a light that comes in, and he said that's when he could hear the voice of God tell him what to do. And he created this orphanage, but there was no water, and I think some people got sick or some people died. So I think that's when he prayed, and he got the idea, I'll dig a well. There was no fresh water, no nothing. And when he dug the well, there was fresh water, and the orphanage thrived. I think it's probably still running today. I'm not sure, but essentially that's kind of his story. His run-in with God was he started an orphanage and he gave those kids fresh water to drink and gave opportunities to more children. So, which is pretty remarkable for that era, that generation. It was a really fun shoot to be on.
A hell of a role to play.
It was. It was my first, like, I guess, role in the industry.
So when you say it was been like the first time you were on a big set as well?
I mean, the set wasn't like big. It was from Evolve Studios. I'm not sure if you've heard of them. They do a lot of stuff regarding the NBA, like sports and other documentary work and a few narrative. It wasn't a big set, but it was more. It was kind of done old school, like you would go out and you find a location, and it was pretty intricate. They did have higher tech cameras, which was pretty cool. A makeup team. They had gaffers.
So you had to get some makeup put on you?
Oh yeah, yeah. And it was weird because I had facial hair, and they said let's shave that because Charles had a mustache. So they shaved everything but the mustache, and that because I didn't know what it looked like until like lunch. I put my phone down. I was kind of like, "Oh, is that what I look like?"
So you haven't seen your face this whole?
No, like I hadn't that whole day until lunch. I was like, "Well, I look like." I was regretting it. I was like,
"Oh man!"
Man, it was weird. I got home. I was kind of like. Dad was like, he just looked at me like, I know, mustache. That's it.
So, was it a bit like fast paced or overwhelming?
No, it was just very low. It was very normal. It was very down to earth. I think I still have yet to be like an actor on a high stress set. I've only been on like one of those. Like that was like. Low budget and us just
another kind of stress.
That was something else. But no, it was very down to earth. It wasn't that fast paced. It wasn't like as they imagined the rush of like a film set would be. Even though it was a smaller scale, it was still had some high tech stuff and the quality of it was really good of what they were doing. But it was very very down to earth. They're very kind. They're very welcoming. They take care of you. Make sure you're good on set. It's kind of like that. It had heaters.
I was gonna say it sounds like your character. I mean, because man, well, what a saint, man.
Yeah,
I know some brothers and some deacons, man. Yo, they've been looking for them kids, and they wouldn't be doing no praying for them.
Right.
But you talking about a different kind of pray.
So, most actors don't look at their stuff. Mm-hmm. Are you that type of actor where you don't look at, once you're done with the project, you don't look at the final thing or don't look at your performance or anything like that?
For the most recent one that I just did back in January, I'm nervous about that one. Most of the time, I reluctantly watch it to see. So I would say yes.
So you watch it mainly like to study yourself type deal?
Sort of. To see how everything just jives. Because I'm not the kind of guy who's going, ooh, I look good. That's not me.
Right.
I'm more of a, is it what they're looking for?
Gotcha.
Did I do the job that they wanted me to do?
Yeah.
So I don't see this as a way to climb some scale up on the ladder of glory. That's really not who I would like to be. But it's even hard to watch sometimes to study yourself. It's hard because you're
your worst critic.
Yeah, that's people downplay that. Oh, it's fine. You're just being hard on yourself. No, it's not.
No, it's a real struggle.
Yeah.
Because even with me being a director, after the final edit is done, I don't watch it at all. No. So I'll watch it to analyze it. I'll go through it, and then once the final piece is done, and I'm talking about the final, if they go back in and have to do a little glitch or do something like that, after that, I don't watch it.
And then, like, how many times have you watched it before you've gotten to that final product?
Maybe twice.
Just twice?
Yeah. That's about it. Or I might go back to a certain scene that needs to be, looked at or something like that. But as far as the whole project, I don't watch it.
Once it's in the
But I mean,
ether.
if you're building your scenes right, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
If you're building your scenes right, you probably shouldn't have to, watch it
Right.
that as many times you watch your scenes.
It's the form of, if you go by the sequences, if you go by the script, then it's going to be okay. Like, you watch certain things to look at the technical difficulties. I might look at it to see if the scene was cut right. I might look at it once or twice to see if everything flows. Once it flows and everything else, I'll, just like the latest project, we have to put music in there. I'm not going to watch the scene. I'm going to listen to the music and say, okay, that music's fine. These are the time codes where you need to put it in. That's cool. That's it.
Yeah. Like, because 8 times out of 10, when you watch something that you just directed or something you've made or something you've written, you'll be like, man, I should have done that.
And you want to redo
You
whole
want to go back
thing.
and you just want to go back.
It's tough, and that's how do you put it? That's a hardship that I don't want to put that on myself. So for me to go back and watch it, it's just gonna make my anxiety go up even worse. So why would I go back and torture myself like that?
Yeah. I think you're a little more laid back than I am, because if I write something and shoot it, I'm like, I get surgical. I get like, I put a war helmet on, war paint. It's kind of like its own. This is what's going to happen. This is what I'm going to do for the next 8 hours. Is just look at this over and over and over again, making the slightest cut here. That has to be like right there. If it's not, I'm going to keep going until it is.
But it's also the people that you got with you too. Mostly I have a very solid team that I work with. So I trust them in the fact of when they're editing or sound or anything like that. I know that I trust them to get, you know what I'm saying, to get that on point. So it's kind of like, and I'm the type of person that's like, y'all do y'all thing because I want y'all's creativity. So at the end of the day, their creativity stands out in the film. So I'm not going to go back and, try to fine tooth their creativity. You know what I'm saying? But I understand where you're coming from because, especially if you write it, it's a different story. Yeah. And you want it told right. So at the same time, the stories that I've written, I go back and lay it out and stuff like that and fine tune it. But it's just self-sabotage for me when I sit up there and have to do it over, because I will literally want to go reshoot it.
That's the worst. That feeling when you have that slight feeling, maybe I should check their availability. Maybe we can just go back to this one spot and just kind of add.
We can do that one little part, like that one little part, and we'll be all right.
Well, it won't take long.
Just send them a text. Hey, buddy.
So ...
So usually you hear like people start off as acting, then they go to the directing. But you going to the directing route, going into acting. So how does kind of going from directing to acting kind of helps you as far as being an actor?
When you learn how to speak the language, the one thing that what first off, what actually helped me was knowing how to, know the verbiage of how a film is shot, how to relate, and also how to relate to other actors. Because one issue directors have about like talking to actors or directing actors or going over to actors is they don't really correlate speech. Case in point, making everything a line read. when you talk to an actor, the worst thing that you can do is tell them how to say a line. Don't do that. Like that's something I know. Like most people will end up doing that at least once, but it's kind of like really learn how to talk to actors, because when you learn that, becoming an actor seems a little easier. There's a pathway, and then once you get in there, one, you know how to conduct yourself on the set. You know how to talk to other actors, and you become a different instrument when you're acting. So I don't know if that answers that, but just like how to communicate from directing to acting really does help me, I guess. But yeah, I've seen too many times, and I've been directed when it was a kind of more so a line reading that makes it harder. But if you really break things down to a T, I guess that does help.
So going back to directing, how do you prepare for your film? What are the steps that you, as a director, what are the steps that you do?
Well, for me personally, after I've written it and gone through, I guess, revisions of how I want it to look, and if I have people with me, this is a do you mean like the process of finding actors and doing all that stuff?
Yeah. So once it's done, once you're done writing it,
yeah.
Once you're done, you know you got your script. How do you go in the process of finding the right actors? How do you go in the process of when you get your actors in your locations and you go through the script with your actors? How does that go for you?
I will try and, because I learned this from somebody. I would try and have like a read through, see how it feels with the actors. I used to use casting calls, and I would like talk to them first, get them in the right mindset, the right mood of how I'm looking for, of how this story should be told. And once I can tell that they're in the right mindset, we'll meet, we'll go through it, we'll go through all the intricate details of everything. Then locations are, I guess, a little harder because
Yeah, they are.
sometimes you get very indecisive. It's kind of like, I like it, but it's not, a piece is not hitting. And me, sometimes it has to all, I'm a weird case, I guess. It all has to be there or something will just be off.
Right.
So, but, you know, there are times when I just make things work. And I orient the mood of, you know, the short film of Checkpoint, the house location was like, I imagined a long hallway, but the hallway would kind of curve and weave towards the front door.
Gotcha.
So I was kind of like, okay, I'll make it work. So locations are pretty tough. And the shoot day is always
what it is.
Yeah, I have. I've got a ritual, and I don't know why. I don't know how this started, but whenever I pull up on a shoot day, I had to sit in my car for a few moments, and I grip the steering wheel real hard, and I just purge it all out before I go. I'm just kind of like, okay, you're the captain. Captains don't jump off the boat. You have to, and I just let everything out. I let all the anxious, and as soon as I open the door, there's no going back. You have to go. So the production is more of like the process of actually making it and being on set. It's a flip kind of switches. It's like you don't know everything,
Right.
but you know more than you think. That's what Avery DuVernay said. And that's true. So it's more so trying what doesn't work as well as doing the things that do work.
Right. Well, you gotta improvise too. You know what I'm saying? Because everything is not gonna go your way.
Exactly.
You can plan it as best as you can, but it's not going to go the way that you plan. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to switch it up at the drop of a dime because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Like that happened on Checkpoint. It was like in the middle of our shoot because we had a cop car. An actual campus officer was with us, off duty, and there was a shootout on campus. I was like,
Go on.
it was weird. Like we heard chatter on the radio. We heard pop. Okay, what was that? And then we hear the radio start going off, and the officer gets into his car, and he's like, "What's going on?" And then the producer who was helping me, she was not a student. She was like, "Okay, so something's going on." I was like, "What?" And then a few minutes later, we see all these police cars pull up to campus, and we're like, what's happening?" Everyone stops. He's kind of like, what's going on? And he's telling, hey, there's a shootout, or not a shootout, but like a shooting just happened. I was like, now? Like, really? We're like mid-shot, man. And so like a whole group of us were just talking, like, they're asking, what do you want to do? I was kind of like, we're going to keep going. We'll do this. And it was like we almost lost our officer because he almost had to get into his squad car and go, almost. And it was just like, I was scratching my head. I was starting to go brain dead. It was late. It was cold. I was like, all right, this is starting to go a little sideways. So I got a little nervous. But yeah, you got to improvise on a dime. And
right.
Like, I chose to stick with it, and we stuck with it. So, yeah, stuff like that happens. So you have to really game plan, set a date, set a backup date. Pre-production took a month for us because the class, I guess, was like 3 months long. But that span of 3 months, pre-production, production, and post-production. And that's the pre-production part. We sent letters to houses like, hey, we're going to be shooting in this area. Just an FYI.
Right.
We had to come up with like, hey, food, and this is what we're going to do for food. This is what we had, a small little budget for there. We had to find actors, talk to our actors. We had to get crew. We had to get equipment. And that is the most stressful part, especially on campus because you got other kids checking stuff out.
Right.
And it may not be there.
Oh.
Yeah. And then what happened on set was the monitor we had wasn't connecting. So we had to eyeball it off the actual LCD screen. And once we got to post, they were telling me, hey, your shots are a hair soft. I was like, it was that sigh. I was like, great, awesome. A hair soft. Do we have time to reshoot this? That question started.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah,
that happens.
I was you know what? Hopefully it'll work. It's fine. We're all fine.
So you say it's a hair soft. For people who don't know, what is?
Soft and sharp. If something's soft, it's kind of out of focus. There's not the texture of the skin won't be as clear. When something's sharp, that's when it's completely in focus, and it's like everything's visible. Depending on the lens and the camera sensor you have, you'll be able to tell the details in their skin, kind of like that. But it was a hair soft. It was like on the verge of being sharp enough, but it was just that hair soft where we're starting to lose a little bit of detail. I was just like, okay, well, it still worked. It's fine, but shooting in a lower light condition also did play a little bit of a factor in that. So, you get what you get.
Right.
You know?
So I want to get back to the shooting. So after this whole shooting situation, how do you kind of like steer your actors and your crew to kind of get them back to focus into finishing this project?
We just made a call. I was like, you know what? Let's keep going. It's fine. I was like, guys, it's all good. We're fine. We were a little nervous. Our AD was a little nervous. But it was fine. It worked out. So I kind of just made a call. It was kind of like, let's just go for it. Let's just keep going. Even though the police cars. There was like, what, 7, 8 police cars pulled up on campus. You know, I wasn't going to let that stop us. So, yeah, it was just all a call I made to just keep going.
Now, especially people starting out that may be around this area, they never think about going to a acting school. They may not even be aware of it. So, for you, what was the benefits of being in an acting school?
This class that I'm in, one, there's immense benefit. So if you're wanting to be an actor and tell those stories and be the instrument of the stories, you need the know-how and the skill. I know that's saying a lot. Everyone's just thinking, oh, I can just show up. No, it's not. Like, acting is not just showing up. You need the skill to actually do it. I think it's necessary. It helps you learn how to, one, you know, well, this is kind of what we do, and some people kind of overthink this, but you find a certain goal, certain obstacle in a particular scene. If you have one scene, you have 2 people in a scene. Somebody wants something from the other. Somebody cares about, or 2 people care about each other. That's like love or power. That's something that's, and then how do you achieve that goal? Well, you do this, and how you go about achieving your goal. So if your goal is to, you know, get $100 from somebody, if that's your goal, ask yourself, our relationship, is it a love relationship or is it a power situation? Then you find that out. Then how do you get to your goal based off of your actions? If you want $100, you're going to beg. How are you going to beg? You're going to drop down to your knees. You're going to pull out their shirt. You're going to grab their face. You're going to do all this stuff to reach that goal. Actors sometimes don't think about that stuff. So it gets very surgical when it comes to acting sometimes. My acting coach calls it a blood sport. When you're up there or outside of a scene, you can be friends, fine. But when you're in the scene and you really want to tell the story and get what you want, it's blood and guts up there, man. That's what it's about. So I've done a lot of like leading man type stuff, like scenes lately for the past like year or so, and it's like makes you want to hit your head up against the wall with some of these very hard scenes to do, and you really have to know how to do that. So if you're starting out, want to say, hey, I want to be an actor, cool. Educate yourself on how to do it, because it's not just showing up. It's not about looks. If you think that this is about looks, again, don't do it, because there's so much more to the game than just, looks. And I know I'm still relatively young and still trying to like move my feet a little and continue to find my footing. Something that needs to be clear even before you say that you want to do this, take yourself completely out of it. Lay yourself down. Because if you just are self-serving, then it's not going to work. So you have to learn how to lay yourself down and think about craft instead of all the flair and stuff. That all the stuff is pointless.
So speaking of goals, what is the ultimate goal for yourself?
The ultimate goal for myself, and this is something I've asked myself a lot. It's not Hollywood. I think Hollywood's overrated. Personally, I'm a worker. It's like I want to be able to, one, work as much, and two, I have stories to tell. I want to be able to tell stories, talk to people's hearts and minds and their souls. To, we don't feel enough in this generation. We don't do enough as far as reaching each other, no matter how. And that's, I guess, big for me as far as faith goes and all that. I really want to put faith in my films. I want substance instead of just a gimmick, because Hollywood is just full of celebrity gimmick. And it's something I heard. I think Denzel say, "We need more laborers in Hollywood than celebrity." I thought about that. I was like, "Wow, that's true." I'm somebody who's always worked hard at things, and it's like we need more laborers, people who are gonna say, "Well, I'll show up, and I'll get the job done," rather than somebody who says, "I want to make $1 million." $1 million, you'll never take. You never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. That's what Denzel said. You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. When you die, when you leave this earth, your stuff's not coming with you. And I take that to heart. And there are a lot of proverbs in the Bible that talk about material and how it's completely meaningless, how it's going to afford you nothing. There are always parables about rich people who will just warnings. You can't.
Yeah, there's always a person that, in the words of the great Snoop Doggy Dogg, they got their cups, but they ain't pitched in.
Exactly.
Only you would bring Snoop Dogg into this.
They want the reward, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, it ties in. It ties in.
It does, yeah.
Only you would tie that in.
But usually, so our way of wrapping up, we like to ask our guests to kind of imagining themselves winning an Oscar, and they had like a speech in mind, and for them to give their Oscar speech. So, what would be your Oscar speech?
First things first. Thank you, God, for taking the son of immigrants from a small town in Tennessee and putting him on a scale. Only he can do something like that. That's what I would say. I'll just have just a series of thank yous to people who were really just behind this. My parents, family, my colleagues, acting coaches. I would just be thankful. If you practice being thankful, that's what I think matters more. So, I'm at that point where, if it gets to that point of winning an Oscar, I think it's less about me than more about the people who helped build the upside down pyramid. Like if I'm the one who's at the top, I'm the one who's actually the very piece is the foundation that that's kind of gross. So it's those people who are on top, the others who are on top who, I don't know if that makes sense, but
Spoken like a director. Never forgetting about the others.
Yeah, that's just kind of like looking back to Checkpoint. The girl who was with me, I wouldn't have ever been able to make that if it wasn't for her. So that's it's her film as well, and it is mine. I know that sounds cliche, but there's so much truth in that. So it
takes a village.
The whole army.
Whole army.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
I think as a director, kind of it almost forces you to have to deal with the entire village. Whereas an actor, you really focusing on yourself and your task.
That's what I'm saying. Like I was on set I think last week, and it was just like people were really saying, "Hey, do you need this? You need this?" And I was kind of like, "I'm good." Like I just this part of me was kind of like, I don't really need people taking care. I'm good. Like he like, "Did you throw some water? I need something to do. Do you need something else?" I'm good. And I'm just one guy who's playing this or doing this role, and you got all these people who kind of it's the whole collective unit, and it's just like. But then when you're directing, it's like, okay, how can I, you start doing all this. I've made it a point, if I ever direct anything, one, I will be the last person to be served anything. I'll be the last one to leave. I want to make sure everybody else is taken care of before me. That's my goal as a director. I did it with for Checkpoint. I did it for a little series I made. It was just I make sure everybody else was like taken care of and left first before me. So this is how I do it. And as an actor, sometimes it's kind of I'm not used to having all the people just try and take care of you. I'm not used to that. So, yeah.
Spoken like a leader. Well, Casey, I want to thank you for a what?
A good leader.
Exactly. Well, I want to thank you for taking time out to talk to us today.
I appreciate y'all having me. I do, honestly.
Yeah. Thank you for being on.
What was it?
What?
You know, next time you just need to make sure you hear. Okay.
Wow, man.
Tell us how you really feel.
I know, right? Yeah.
Well, I'm Kevin.
Kevin conflict.
Well, I'm Kevin Mumphrey. This is Karsten Hype Farguson.
Yeah.
And Victoria V.A. Jones.
Yes.
And that is a wrap.